Well, yesterday it happened. I officially hit rock bottom to the day. Now, I only have, it was on Leap Day, no less. I mean, you only get this opportunity to celebrate once every 4 years, and that had to be the day that I hit 47.2 years of age. Exact, to the day. Why is that rock bottom? Well, social scientists tell us that is when we hit the bottom of this curve in our happiness levels in life. It looks like this. Going from left to right, you're kind of happy when you're in your 20s, and then it just slowly sort of goes down, and they think this is because when you're in your late 40s, 47.2 to be exact, you face those pressures. You're still raising your own kids. You're that maybe sandwich, maybe starting to care for your parents. You're at that stage in your career where you're thinking like, well, I might not be CEO of this large corporation after all. I might not be the next Barack Obama and be president when I'm in my 40s. And so that begins to take a toll. And then your body starts to rebel on you in your 40s, right? And so you start to feel this week when I go like this, it sends these, I've been complaining to Karen about it nonstop. Yeah, she's nodding her head. It sends this, I don't know what it is, but your body starts to rebel on you. And they say that this is the bottom. I guess that's the bad news, but the good news is check out what happens after that. You start to come out of the bottom. We all have bottoms in our life, no matter how old we are, whatever age we may happen to be. The graph is really more like this, right? It's up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down. We have difficult moments in life. And those moments are sometimes worth lamenting. It's real. It's part of life. It's like I was saying with the kids. How do we invite God into those moments? They're not always sunshine and roses, but are also burned out churches and deaths of people who are close to us. What do we do with that? And so today we're going to be talking about lament, and we're going to be writing our own lament in just a little bit here. You see that in your bulletins. Now, I wanted to put this into practice. Pastor Pam did a great job of putting this into practice during the morning prayer this morning. But I wanted to write a lament of rock bottom. All right, so here goes. Look, God, how my stomach churns because Father Time is fast on my heels. How my heart aches within me because I yearn for younger years. Speaking of aches, God, my knees, my shoulders, my back is stiff, my hair grows thinner, and my waist grows thicker. And God, how other people have done wrong things, such as look at me differently now, underestimating my strength, my mental acumen. That old guy doesn't know anything about things today, does he? God, I too have turned from you and your ways, sometimes by thinking that I could do it all myself, pretending I'm not tired, that I don't ache, and that recurring fib, or should I say fibs, oh yeah, I've heard of that new social media app, the TalkTick and the Face Snap, whatever it is. That latest pop star? Oh, no doubt, awesome. God, I'm tired and weary because I don't want to have to adapt to something new again. I lack courage because I often feel pessimistic. My other complaints, regarding aches and pains are too many to list here. But God, this is not the whole story. I recall these things that give me hope. So many shining lights who have walked this path before me and done it so well with such grace, teaching me that each season of life can be rich, that I have adapted before and that I can adapt again. This reminds me of your love for me, that every age can be a great age, that the sun will rise again tomorrow on a bright new day, that your divine spark lives within all of us, no matter the number of years we have. God, your steadfast love never ceases. Your mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. May my faithfulness also be great. I half joke here, but we all know that there are very real things in the world and in our lives that we also lament. Illness, addiction, and poverty. A world that seems like it's on the edge. Friends who are very close to us, if not by geography, by faith and in our hearts. This is a picture from one of the Nigerian churches that was burned last week. A picture of the hospital that was also affected by this violence. And Sunday services went on, even in the building that had been burned. Why, God? Why? Why do these things happen? Now, these are the big things that we lament about, but truth be told, there are also those things that are big in our own lives, in our own universes. They're no smaller. They feel just as big. This is the stuff that keeps us up at night, the worries about a loved one's physical or mental health, the fear of what others may do to us, the pain of grief, what may happen in the future, if not the present. If not for us, then for our kids and our grandkids. Job concerns, fractured relationships, the list goes on and on and on. And we lie awake at night, or we drift off into space during the day in worry. Worry. That misuse of imagination. But here's the thing, there's another way. There's a different way that we can go about this that does not dwell in worry. You know, there's an entire book of the Bible called Lamentations. We can put the spiritual practice of lamenting to work for us. It will not only help us in a cathartic way, it will also draw us closer to God. So if we want to connect with God, if we really want to connect with God, don't we have to share all of our lives with God? Not just the good stuff, not just the highs, not just the gratitude, though we will talk about that in a couple of weeks, but the real stuff, the stuff that keeps us up at night, the stuff that hurts our hearts, the stuff that won't leave our minds. Why do we hold that back? I know I'm not the only one who holds that back. Why do we hold those things back from God? I think sometimes we hold them back because we're uncomfortable with these feelings. We're uncomfortable with that. We've been there. It's raw. It hurts. So sometimes we just don't want to go there. We may hold back because we don't want to feel like we're a complainer, right? Would this just be complaining to God? We don't want to wallow in grief or sadness or bad luck. Well, consider this very important distinction between complaining and lamenting. Lament, think about it this way. Lament is embracing the deep emotion that we have. It's memorializing it in some way. Writing it down helps. And then that helps us set it aside so that we can move on. Complaining is more like a habit. That's something that we do over and over and over. We get in the practice of complaining. But when we complain, we kind of just get stuck there. We don't move on. We wake up and we have the same complaints tomorrow as we had today. So even though we may be hesitant to lament, the biblical tradition reflects its value. And like I said, there's an entire book written on lament. In this book, the writer weeps over the many miseries of the city. It's a communal lament. It's lamenting for an entire nation of peoples. We think that it was written when the people of Israel had been taken in exile to Babylon, and there was a remnant left behind. Perhaps this book was written by the remnant that was left behind and had seen the city destroyed. How deserted lies the city, once so full of people. How like a widow is she who once was great among nations. She who was queen among the provinces has now become a slave. How the enemy laid hands on all her treasures. She saw pagan nations enter her sanctuary. All her people groan as they search for bread. They barter their treasures for food to keep themselves alive. Look, Lord, and consider, for I am despised. This is why I weep, and my eyes overflow with tears. No one is near me to comfort me, no one to restore my spirit. My children are destitute, because the enemy has prevailed. And moving forward in that scripture, a sign of hope. Because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed, for God's compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. I say to myself, the Lord is my portion. Therefore I will wait for God. The Lord is good to those whose hope is in him, to the one who seeks him. Lament is not just found there, it's found throughout the Bible. It's in the histories, it's in the prophets, it's in the wisdom literature. Scholars say that up to 70% of the Psalms have at least a sentence or two of lament in them. And yes, they are communal, like the one that I just read, and they are individual, personal. God, why is this happening to me right now? Even Jesus turned to God in lament on the cross, and he echoed Psalm 22. My God, why have you forsaken me? Exclaiming, where are you, God, might feel irreverent to us, might feel disrespectful. We might even feel like we're being unfaithful if we dare utter those words. But even Jesus brought himself to share those true feelings with God. Real faith is just that. It's real. Real faith trusts God with our whole selves, our doubts, our fears, our anger, our miseries. It shares the shadow, the dirty parts, the ugly parts of the world and all that's in it. And lament in those times is an act of faith. And so now it's your turn. We literally invite you to write your own lament. Josh and an ensemble are going to come up and they're going to play a song. And while that song is playing, there's pencils in front of all of you. We invite you to take the pencil out of the rack or pen in your purse or pocket and literally take the time. Where are the places in your life where you lament? What are your sadnesses, your griefs, your sorrows? note that there's also a place for your hopes and the places where you see God alive in your lives. I invite you to do that now as Josh comes forward.